Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Tanner, and I recently quit my 9 to 5 job to start my own handyman business in Southern California. And for those who don't know, the rent prices in Southern California are incredibly expensive. So I came across Vanlife videos on YouTube, and I decided to go ahead and give it a go. Okay, so this is my work in progress camper van that I've got going on here. I'd say my favorite part about this van is probably this futon here. And the reason why is because one of the legs was actually missing when I bought this futon. So what I did is I had these, I had this queen size, I think it was a queen size or a twin size bed frame, and it had these wheels on them. And so I had the idea that since this is a futon, what I could do is make sure all these wheels are turned in this orientation first of all. Yeah, so they are. I had the idea that I can utilize more space over here when this is in the couch mode, and I'll show you that right now. So if I fold this one up, it clicks twice, and then the same for this one, like this. I'll show you guys so you can see. I can actually clear the wheel well, so all I have to do is push this futon over that wheel well. All I've got to do is just push this back like this, and now I've got a lot more room to use over here. So this is my electrical system that I have in my van here. I still need to put this little switch panel on, but I'm wiring some stuff up, so I haven't done that yet. And there's my 400 watt inverter. I'll explain all this right now. So this is a pulse width modulator dimmer switch. What it does is it pulsates at different frequencies this LED strip right here. So how it works is, depending on the width of the frequency, the light will appear either brighter or dimmer. And this all depends, like I said, on the width of the frequency itself. And the frequency is so fast that the human eye cannot see it unless you have pulse width modulated device of some sort, and it somehow conflicts, but that's beyond me right now. So this is my ePever or ePever, however you want to say it, 30 amp charge controller, and it actually can take a max input voltage from the PV array of 100 volts. So I've got a 275 watt solar panel, and from my understanding it's a 35 volt, so this thing will definitely handle it. And so far it's been pretty awesome so far. I like it a lot, and especially the fact that it's MPPT, which means that it's more efficient compared to pulse width modulated charge controllers. So how this is wired up is I've got the positive negative that come in to the input from my solar panel, and the positive right here is actually connected into a 10 amp circuit breaker. And the reason why is because my solar panel, from my understanding, it outputs a current of around 8 amps, and the next circuit breaker I could find up from that was 10 amps. I don't want the solar panel, for some odd reason, to output more than 8 amps. Like if it's on a really sunny day and somehow that happens, I want to stop the solar panel from, I don't know, overheating or producing too much current. So that's why I have this in place, and not to damage the solar charge controller neither, for some reason that might happen. So then on the battery side, I have this 30 amp circuit breaker as well. It's an inline circuit breaker. And I think, you know, this was only around like $4 or $5, and this was only like, I think I want to say like $7. They're a little bit more expensive. Just, I don't know, they look a lot more cool, I think, compared to those. Yeah, I've got this 30 amp circuit breaker, and the reason why is because I don't want this charge controller to output more than a current of 30 amps, which is what this is supposed to handle. So if my batteries were to be getting more than 30 amps from this, that could actually damage the charge controller. So that's why I have this in place, and how it works is when a current of 30 amps or more, or not necessarily exactly 30 amps, but if 30 amps or so like goes through this circuit breaker right here, what will happen is this little switch is going to pop up, and that can be done by flipping this right here, and then you have to manually set it back down. So that's why I like that. It's pretty nice. And then the load side is only, the only thing I've got in my load, I think, is just my LED strip and the pulse width modulator dimmer switch. And by the way, the reason why I didn't choose a potentiometer for this is because potentiometers can only dissipate so much heat before they'll eventually burn out. And I actually tried to create a dimmer switch rather than having to buy this one, which I think these are only like $5, which is why I bought it. That's that for the whole charge controller setup for the most part. And there is one more thing I want to show you guys, which I found to be an interesting idea, and that is the ability to switch batteries. For instance, if I needed like a jump start in my van, like my actual battery in my engine bay, what I could do is just flip the circuit breaker, because right now it's charging the batteries that are actually underneath this futon here. All I've got to do is push in the circuit breaker, and then from there I flip this switch, so the positive is actually being connected to the battery that's in my engine bay, my actual battery to start my car up. So once I flip that down, it will run the LED lights off of my car battery. So how I did this was I had both of the positives, the positive from my 3 batteries that I have in parallel underneath this futon here, which I could show you guys maybe in another video. Yeah, I have one positive on one leg of the switch, and the other positive is connected, like I said, to my car battery. And then for the negative, all I did was just ground it down here underneath. I have like a little ring terminal connector that I screwed into the ground, and I have multiple ground points in here just in case something happens. But yeah, I thought this was an interesting idea, because now, as you can see, I could charge my battery. And I did make sure that the wire gauge was sufficient. It can actually handle, I believe, up to 20 amps. Let's see if I could find it. Yeah, so this is one of them. This is a 14 gauge wire right here. So I made sure, I looked it up, that it would be sufficient. But yeah, since I'm down here, this is my 400 watt Cobra inverter, AC inverter, and this was actually pretty cheap. I think it was only around $30. And what I did is I used the original battery connectors here, and the reason why I did not plug this directly into the load was because there's going to be a good amount of amperages that's going to flow through this cable here. So this had to be connected directly to the battery. I could go into another video on that also, but that's where those grommets are going in. And I actually have that battery box that I built. It's mounted into the floorboard of the van. And what that does is this. When I'm turning in this van, like if I take a right turn, if I pull on this right now, it's not going to move because it's actually being held by the battery box. I also tapped into the AC plug adapter here, the output of it, and I have this wired all the way up and over my panel, and then it ends right here. So that way I can plug my TV directly into the AC input here. But that's the majority of my van. I could show you this fold down desk or table. Yeah, fold down table. And I built this from an old computer desk that I found. It's definitely a piece of crap, but so I think I was recording too long and my video eventually cut out. But yeah, that pretty much summarizes my van anyways. So you know, I think I'm gonna start posting some more videos, maybe on some electrical setups that I have, or maybe how to wire up an inverter or battery gauge or wire gauge sizes, or maybe how I how I set this TV up in the Wii down there too. So yeah, I'll probably post a video also on my story about why I started Vanlife. So stay tuned, guys, and thank you for watching. Appreciate it.